Hello everyone. So today we'll be talking about a very important topic of cyber security. So it is part of GS paper 3. There was an article in the Hindu which says that disinformation is a cyber security threat. You can go, if you have a subscription of the Hindu, you can go and read this article. So I'll be covering this cyber security part in a comprehensive manner. So, what does this article talks about? So, this article talks says that the society needs to be protected from this kind of disinformation which are being propagated by the people because they are not aware, and what is happening due to it, due to this disinformation. Uh, Law and order problem is being created and also leading to violence and social unrest. So we'll see what is there in this article. So in this article also talks about a term called as cognitive hacking. You have to remember this term. It is important. It may be important for prelims, or also you can use it in your mains answer writing. So what is cognitive hacking? Cognitive hacking is a cyber attack that seeks to manipulate the perception of people by exploiting their psychological vulnerabilities. So it tries to manipulate your viewpoint. Uh, uh, so what happens? Stimulus is sent to you, and when you are exposed to that stimulus, your viewpoint changes. But that stimulus may be of fake kind of news, or it may not be real. So the purpose of the attack is to change the behavior, usually resulting from exposure to a misinformation. So you are exposed to a misinformation, and you yourself get into that trap of misinformation, due to which uh, there is a change in the cognitive process leading to cognitive hacking. So in simple terms I would say that एक ऐसी जानकारी आपको दी जाती है जो जानकारी गलत हो, और उससे आपके जो पहले से कोई एक परसेप्शन है या कोई व्यू पॉइंट है, उसको आप जैसे आप उससे उसको आप चेंज कर सकें. तो दिस वाज आल्सो ऑब्जर्व्ड ड्यूरिंग द कैम्ब्रिज एनालिटिका एपिसोड. तो कैम्ब्रिज एनालिटिका में क्या हुआ था? कैम्ब्रिज एनालिटिका में through Facebook certain messages were sent to the users in order to change their political opinion. So ऐसे कुछ misinformation, or it was kind of a fake news or manipulated news or showing you half truth, such kind of news are propagated to a target audience in order to change their mindset. So till now we have seen such type of cyber security threat as a political as well as economic threat, and now in the emerging times it is changing, and due to the emergence of deep fake. So this is also an important term, deep fake. So what is deep fake? Deep fake are the digital media. It may be the audio, video, images which are manipulated using artificial intelligence. So by use of artificial intelligence, the video, audio, or the images are manipulated, and people tend to believe that these are the original images, and through that the objective of that the person who is circulating such deep fake items are fulfilled. So till now we have seen that cyber security as a security threat, not just an economic threat but also as national threat. So it is also becoming part of our national threat because it is uh, causing law and order issues, and it may also hamper our own national interest. So here, through this figure, we'll try to understand what is uh, how deep fake works. So let's see. There is an original phase A. So it is one phase, phase one, and there is a second phase, phase two. So these are the images of two persons. Now, what is done? These both the images are superimposed, and uh, first it is encoded and then it is decoded through the computer software, and the outcome which is achieved So you can see this outcome which is achieved is a mixture of phase 1 or phase 2. So this outcome which is achieved is a mixture of both the images. So let's say he is face person 1, he is person 2. So when you will see this photograph, and if this person is in front of you, you will say that yes, this photograph belongs to this individual. Similarly, if you see this photograph, and if this person is in front of you, you will say yes, this person belongs, the image, this is the image of this person. So and it is also happening through audio voice, in also in video. So uh, let's say a leader is giving a speech, so certain portions of his speech are edited. uh, by that I mean certain words he's or the with which the frequency he is speaking, those are cut down and those are accumulated, and a new speech is prepared with the help of deepfake and artificial intelligence. So just a few months ago, a video of Barack Obama was being circulated, and in that video, he was not looking like original Barack Obama, and he was saying a totally different thing. But many people believe that he is the real Barack Obama, and whatever was being said, people thought that it was his old video, but it was all fake. So such kind of news, or if you have suppose, let's say if you would trust a leader, and if such kind of video is circulated, and uh, आप देख करके उस वीडियो को पकड़ नहीं पाइएगा कि ये सही में इसी लीडर ने ऐसा बोला है या नहीं बोला है, एंड यू विल टेंड टू बिलीव दैट जो भी उसने बोला है वो सब सही है। और लेट से आप किसी लीडर को बड़े अच्छे भाव में देखते हैं, तो वहां से आप वो वीडियो देखने के बाद आपके अंदर उसके प्रति एक नफरत आ जाएगी कि यार इसने ऐसे कैसे बोल दिया, ये तो गलत है, या इसने ऐसा क्यों बोल दिया। तो उससे सोसाइटी में क्या होगा, अनरेस्ट होगा। तो सिमिलरली व्हेन आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट दी both the phases, phase 1 and phase 2, so here you can see this is the original picture, and so this is picture 1 and this is picture 2, and a third picture is created by superimposing both the pictures. So when you will see this picture and you will see this lady, so this photo also resembles with the picture 1 and also with picture 2. So it would be very difficult to identify, although you may say that you are able to identify, but this is just a sample. And the amount of development which these technology has taken place, so uh, it can create really a very troublesome situation and a law and order issue on a very larger scale, which may uh, hamper our own national security. So further, what was there in this article? The article of disinformation is a cyber threat. So it talks about manipulated information through cyber world. So through cyber world, manipulated informations are being circulated, and this article says that the speed of misinformation is very high. So whenever we see any offensive image or any offensive clip, so we have a habit of tending to circulate it or forward it many a times. So the speed of circulation of such news items are quite high, and due to it there is violence and social disruption. So as I already told, sometimes they try to bring one community against the other, which may result in violence. So what is the issue here? So the issue is related to misinformation versus right to free speech. So on one hand, everybody has a right to free speech under Article 19 of our Constitution. On the other hand, uh, under the garb of right to free speech, you cannot go on spreading misinformation in the society. So something needs to be done in order to balance the misinformation versus right to free speech. So what is the way forward? So going forward, we need to provide digital education to the masses. People are not aware, they tend to forward these social media messages randomly, even without thinking whether the news they are circulating is true or false. Media needs to create digital literacy among people in order to create awareness. So from time to time, the role of media is to create awareness among people about this digital initiative, because the penetration of mobile phone and internet is increasing day in and day out. So we also have to simultaneously create awareness among people. And there is also a role of fact check websites like Boom Check or Alt News. So and various news channels and news portals have also launched their own website to check fact news. And also uh, just few months ago, uh, from the government side, it was circulated that how you can check whether a news is fake or it is an original news. So whenever you see something which may create a dissonance within you, so try to check whether uh, it is really believable or not. So don't blindly don't forward that news. And if try to authenticate that news from these fact check websites, or you may also Google it in order to verify whether such type of incident or any happening, or any let's say any speech is being delivered by somebody or not. So you can also Google it, and you have to wait. So, and if you see some messages, especially in WhatsApp, you see that it is forwarded many times, it is written. So uh, don't blindly believe all those news. Just try to gather some information regarding it. If you are sure that yes, this is correct, then only it's better to circulate those news or post it in the social media as an aware citizen of this country. So in that same article, in the Hindu article, there was also a term called as Paris Call for Trust and Security in Cyberspace and Christchurch Call to Action. So these things might be asked in prelims. So that Paris Call for Trust and Security was recently in news. So it is related to. So such kind of questions may be directly asked in prelims. And Christchurch Call for Action. So these are all related to cyberspace, and uh, uh, countries come up in order to have a comprehensive kind of a policy to protect their citizens. And Christchurch Call for Action, uh, it was basically, the demand was to remove the extreme content present online. So online there are various multiple contents are being present. So some of the content are quite extreme, and those may be detrimental for the peace and well-being of society. So that needs to be removed from time to time. So here also the importance of AI. So through AI they are creating fake news or deep through AI, certain elements are creating fake news, but the same AI should be used in order to check or remove such extreme content or such fake news. So because AI can uh, ease your whole process of checking or verifying such news items. So now we will see that I would not say a similar, but one more article was published last year. So we'll just have a look into this article to get a comprehensive picture of the cyber security or the data management basically. So this article was published last year. It was talking about taking national data seriously. So this article was published when India was negotiating the RCEP agreement, and in that agreement there was a clause that there would be a free flow of data among these RCEP countries. So in this article, what the author says, so this author says that data is considered as the new wealth. So we all know that data now is gaining quite importance and is now considered to be a new wealth. And uh, with this data, two countries are emerging as a superpower by controlling the global digital or artificial intelligence economy. So it is being currently led by two horses, US and China, and it is feared. So the author said that it is feared that EU or other developing countries like India will have to be digitally dependent on any of these two powers of these data giants country. So if we are not prepared ourselves completely to face those challenges. So what will happen if we have domination of countries like US and China in the whole digital economy? So he also says that it would be a kind of digital colonization. So earlier the colonization was done by Britishers. So now in the data domain, it may lead to digital colonization. So these are the terms you can use while writing essay, while writing mains answer. So and if you have a broader understanding of these terms, you would be able to use these terms quite frequently. And it is also said that 7 of the top 8 companies by market cap globally today are data based corporations. So, data based corporations are quite huge giants nowadays, and 7 out of top 8 companies are data based corporation, and which is earlier it was dominated by oil giants. So oil is the earlier it was said that oil is this data is the new oil. So you might have also heard about it that data is the new oil. So earlier the oil companies were quite large; they had quite enormous economic wealth. Now they are being sidelined by these uh, corporation which are playing with data. So what is the importance of data sharing? So regarding the importance of data sharing, Niti Aayog came up with a paper on the strategy related to AI. So this strategy talks about transfer of data frequently within the country. So it says that it gives importance that data should remain within the country. So it talks about data localization. Further, it says that the global corporations consider data as freely shareable open source till the data is out there with the people community outside things, etc. So it also says that but the moment they collect the data, it seems to become their de facto private property. So these global corporations consider data as something which is freely and readily available. They collect data under various uh, under under various provisions. We use social media, we also use various apps. So through all these things, these data giants collect data, and they behave as if these data have become a private property of these corporation, of these digital corporation. So it is it is for the interest of the community to have a comprehensive view on data so that we are able to protect the data of the community, or that is the people. Because it also says that the importance of data community data, because these data can be it provides deep intelligence about us which can be used to manipulate us. So as I said, the scandal related to Cambridge Analytica. uh, so such things should not happen in future, so we have to be prepared and be ready with the data which are available locally, and we cannot allow these corporate giants to take our data freely and use it for their own economic benefit. So this article also says that there is unfair sharing of the gains of digital efficiency, but also social, political, security related, and military. So nowadays data has become quite sensitive issue. So it is not only related to the political, economic sphere, but also military related data. You might have heard that even just few months ago, government has banned various Chinese apps. So why they have banned these Chinese apps? Because it was alleged that they were collecting data of the Indian citizens. And also from the time to time, you might have heard that government brings out with certain kind of advisory for the army personnel not to use the Chinese brand phones. Because it is said that through those phones, they have certain inbuilt softwares through which they try to collect the real time data or certain specific data which is required, and they may try to get some information about our own military establishment and the people involved in managing the country. So it says that all this requires India to preserve the data policy space. So we need to preserve our data policy space. We have not even begun dealing with the very complex data policy issues. So we have to begin uh, through making a comprehensive data policy. So through this article, it only tries to say that we should not sign that. Further, it says that we should not try to sign this RCEP agreement, in which there is a clause that there would be a free flowing of data, and there would be only certain exceptions. But this says that exceptions almost never work. So this says that once you allow the free flow of data, then these other countries like China and all, so they can have a much wider control on the data, and they may try to manipulate us on different dimensions. So these were this article was published just last year, so I thought that it is also included. I should also include it as part of this data security analysis. Now moving forward, what India has done, to protect ourselves from these cyber attacks or in the domain of cyber security. So we came up with the National Cyber Security Policy 2013. So why there was a need for such kind of policy? If you go back and if you see that uh, during that time, Edward Snowden has revealed some of the facts which were quite shocking in nature. So he stated that the USA government is trying to have a watch on our political movement, also on the economic sphere and various other sphere. They have penetrated and they are trying to capture the data, and through that data they are trying to keep a close watch on the uh, whatever incident is happening in the country. So that information that was revealed by Snowden, that USA's NSA is involved in such kind of activity. So through that there was an uproar, and the government came up with the National Security Policy 2013. So what is this policy all about? So National Cyber Security Policy is a document which outlines a roadmap to create a framework for comprehensive, collaborative, and collective response. So you have to remember these three C's related to National Cyber Security Policy. So whenever you face a question related to data, cyber security, these are some of the keywords you can apply anywhere as per your need and demand, like comprehensive, collaborative, and collective response. These are quite universal words, and it could be used easily in order to improve the quality of your answer writing. So now let us see some of the salient features of the National Cyber Security Policy 2013. So it says that we have to build and secure a resilient cyberspace for citizens, businesses, and government. So we have to protect everybody. We need to protect our citizens. We also need to protect the businesses, because if a cyber attacks happen, then the whole business environment is hampered. And also the government, because uh, government is the core of everything. Similarly, there is also a focus on public private partnership arrangement. So public private partnership arrangement, by that we mean that both the public institutions as well as the private bodies need to partner themselves uh, in order to protect your data, and also to have a comprehensive cyber security policy. And cyber security related technology actions, protection of critical information infrastructure. So critical information infrastructure, these are like the information related to the our power plants, the nuclear plants. So these are quite critical and vital. And also give national alerts and advice mechanism, advise how we can improve our whole data structure, create awareness among people, capacity building, and promoting information sharing and cooperation. So the objective is to for capacity building of people. So this policy also talks about training 5 lakh professional within a span of 5 years. So this policy document was released in 2013, and till 2018, the target was to train 5 lakh professionals. I don't know the current status of how much we have trained, but just few years ago, the only some thousand personals were trained. So that's why I have not included that part in the features of this policy. And similarly, we need to enhance the cooperation and coordination among all the stakeholders within the country. So there are various stakeholders involved. So we need to collaborate in order to come up with a in order to come up with a comprehensive policy or comprehensive action plan to tackle from such cyber security threat. Further, we also need a framework, and we need different kind of framework at different level. Like we at government level, we need to have a different framework, and also sectoral levels, and in modes like PPP mode. So framework basically suggests that if you are attacked, if a cyber attacks happen, so what should be the course of action you should follow in order to protect yourself. Moving on, so there is also provision of facilitating monitoring key trends. So it will also monitor key trends at national level, and these trends are related to cyber security compliance. So how far the compliance have been achieved, or how far we are lacking. Cyber attacks happening in different domain, cyber crime which is happening. So we have also report of cyber attacks, cyber crime, they are increasing. And cyber infrastructure growth. So in order to tackle the cyber attacks, cyber crime, we also need to improve our infrastructure related to cyber technology. So how far we have achieved the growth? So we need to have we need to keep a track on the development on these domains. Preventing cyber attack and cyber crime. So the objective is also to prevent cyber attack and cyber crime, minimizing response and recovery. So we have to not only respond to those attacks, but also recover from it. And effective cyber crime investigation and prosecution. And further, we have to investigate and also prosecute those elements, those who are involved in such a theft of data or the data attacks. So, but you know, in a digital world, these attacks may not originate from your country within. Majorly, these attacks happen from the people, those who are sitting outside the country. Time and again, we hear that people sitting in Pakistan or be it any other country, they try to infiltrate in our internal systems. So we not only need to invest in our own infrastructure related to cyber security, but also need to have a collaborative approach on a global scale if we really want to prevent ourselves from such cyber attacks. So there are also other provisions related to it. So these you can write the other provisions in the way forward, or what or regarding the action plan which has been taken. So there is NCIIPC. So what it is a National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. So it's a 24/7 machinery which has been envisaged to deal with cyber threat. So NCIIPC has been envisaged to deal with cyber threat. There is also CERT-In. So CERT-In has been designated to act as a nodal agency for coordination of crisis management. So CERT-In is the nodal agency for any kind of crisis related to cyber security. And also there are sectoral CERT-In. So we have various sectors operating, be it the financial sector or be it the nuclear sector. So for different sectors, we have sectoral CERTs. Similarly, we also have the National Cyber Security Coordination Center, NCCC. So what is the job of NCCC? To scan internet traffic and communication of metadata coming into the country to detect real-time cyber threat. So it continuously check or scans the internet traffic, what sort of information is being circulated, what sort of malware or the kind of threat which may emerge. So its job is to scan and detect these threats on a real-time basis. Yeah, so I was talking about this since we are now living in a global village. So this whole world is one global village. So uh, in terms of data, there is no boundary because this all deals with cyberspace. So we cannot proceed with our own data structure or with our own silo mentality of having our own law until and unless we are supported by countries through worldwide. So how we can achieve it? Through participation and collaboration. So at internet, we also need to see the international initiative which has been taken in this direction. So there is International Telecommunication Union, so ITU. So it's an agency under United Nations which plays a leading role in standardization and development of telecommunication and cybersecurity issues. So it tries to standardize the development and the way of communication in the cyber security issues. So it's an quite an important union, International Telecommunication Union, and some questions related to ITU has been already been asked by UPSC prelims. There is also a Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. So it's an international treaty which seeks to address internet and computer crime. So if there is an computer crime or cyber fraud, so through Budapest Convention, it's an international treaty which says that what you need to do, and it provides a it has certain own laws and rules. So it tries to harmonize the national laws with their own convention, that is Budapest Convention, in order to improve the investigative technique, increase cooperation among nations. So, but you have to remember that India is not a signatory to this convention. So, this is an important convention, Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, but India is not a signatory. Why? Because India says that the convention or the laws are detrimental to our own national security threat. So, uh, due to which India said that we are not going to sign this convention. So we need to further, you know, talk and the government to government, and we need to create consensus. And this type of convention should be brought up under UN because it has more authenticity than any convention being brought out by any bloc, let's say the EU bloc or the it is dominated by US. So similarly, we also have Internet Governance Forum. So what is Internet Governance Forum? So Internet Governance Forum tries to bring all stakeholders, that is the government, private, and the civil society, on the internet governance debate. So since the internet penetration is increasing, so the we are also debating about how we can govern in the internet world. So Internet Governance Forum is a forum, basically is a collection of different parties in order to come out with the governance model in this internet world. And there is also a Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Number, ICANN. So it's a non-profit organization responsible for coordinating and maintenance and procedures of several databases. So related to namespace, so the domain which you use, the namespace which you use, all those namespace are given by ICANN. So these also, it's a NGO. How it is located in US, and it is largely dominated by US. So if you see that in the domain of cyber security, you have Budapest Convention, this ICANN, all these things are being dominated by US or the Western powers. We only have the International Telecommunication Union, but it is not very proactive. So still on the issue of data security and cyber security, the whole or the United Nations or the countries of United Nations needs to come up with a comprehensive policy so that a consensus could be achieved, and different countries are made a party to it, and the data sharing related to these cyber security or the emerging threat which is happening needs to be shared among different countries, as was witnessed during the preparation of vaccine for COVID-19. So we saw that during COVID-19 there was extreme collaboration, cooperation among different stakeholders. So we came up with a new vaccine within a year. So if you are serious, so we may also collaborate, different countries may collaborate to come up with their own framework in order to have a comprehensive guideline, so that we may create a safe, secure environment, safe, secure cyber environment, because now everything is moving in a digital world. So the importance of cyber environment is going to increase in the times to come. Yeah, thank you.